Welcome back into week 2 of the 3 Fever Point After podcast. Well, week 2 of 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Alex Anderson, joined again by Bossier offensive coordinator Jeff Harper. Back in the house with us, and we were just talking before we started recording, a lot to get through this week. We have some incredible performances from week 1 in Louisiana, and we have a surprise, one of the best matchups we've seen in a long time with Calvary and Neville. I guess we can start with Calvary and their win last week over Oak Grove. Abram Wardell, 7 touchdown passes. James Simon had a big day as well. Now we turned the page to Calvary. Thought it was going to be Westgate, or to Neville. Thought it was going to be Westgate. Now it's Neville. Is that more difficult? I mean, I feel like both of those teams are pretty darn good.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more or less difficult. It's Neville.
Right.
You know, they're going to be big, physical. They're going to play really good defense. Neville looked good against Evangel. Yeah. You know, Calvary is everything that we have talked about over the last 2 years. Right. They just now, every time they go out, they show some new layer. So, they ran for 200 yards, or Simon ran for 200 yards. Wardell throws 7 TDs. He played. Their guys played into the fourth quarter because it was a close game. They hang 60 on a defending state champ that's picked to go back, and that's just unbelievable. That's the one thing I really love about what Calvary's doing is they're not running away from anybody, and neither is Oak Grove.
Right.
Hey, they'll come and play anybody too. So it says a lot about both programs, and I think that we're just seeing the beginning of a crazy year of really competitive football.
Yeah.
In any classification.
And you mentioned Neville at Evangel, and one thing that I kind of wanted to point out in regards to Daniel is Daniel. You know Daniel. He's a pretty level-headed guy most of the time. He doesn't really get too excited over much, but man, he was excited about Pop Houston. Even on the show that night, he said it 3 or 4 times. Like, it's different when you hear about somebody and you see them in person. And there was one throw in particular. I don't know if you saw his big touchdown pass early in the game where he's running off platform across the body, drops a perfect dime there down the field for a touchdown. I don't know how much you've got to see of him and what he was able to do in that game, but early reviews are quite positive.
Yeah, and he did it against a quality 5A team.
Right.
We're not talking about just anybody. We're talking about Neville. So well coached, really good personnel on that side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. And people don't realize it, but Evangel doesn't have all their guys yet. They've got some guys that aren't eligible yet. So what they're putting on the field, they're competing, night in and night out, and they're going to be really good. And when they figure it out, everybody's, in there, and they're learning to play together. I mean, you're talking about a whole new group of guys. Right. So, it's been the Fulgham Brothers show for the last 4 years, and so there's some new personnel in there for Pop to be able to go out and do that, and those receivers, and to have success. I just think that they continue that, week in and week out.
And I did kind of just want to get your opinion as someone who's been a head coach, in this state, about the story that Roy Lang had in The Advocate last week about Evangel, the documentary crew, and how some local coaches are saying no to that crew coming over to their stadiums when they play Evangel at home or in their home. I talked to Coach Duran about it, and he said that Fox, who they're with now, was offering something a few $1,000s to these schools to allow them to come on campus, and they still say no. How do you view that? I mean, I kind of see both sides of the argument in the sense of I could see why you could view that as a recruiting tool for sure. Kids want to be on TV. I mean, I get that. It's just such an interesting talking point, something that's only really exclusive to us here in Shreveport.
Well, we don't have enough time to unpack this. Let me just say this. I understand why you wouldn't want a camera crew coming to your game and, featuring Evangel, and let's just say you've got your dude that's there. And it's not that Evangel would go actively recruit them, right? So let me just put that out there. I don't believe that's the case. I just think that some coaches don't want camera crews on their campus. I don't think, and I get that. They don't want their kids to be, you really don't know what the script's going to be for that episode, right? So, there are coaches that are probably trying to protect their kids and their self-interest, and there's going to be some things that I know. My daughter was at a game with a friend last year, and my wife had to sign a document stating that if my daughter was in a scene or whatever, that that it was okay. And so there's a lot of that goes into it. Right. So I don't think it's just a recruiting thing. I do believe that it is a great recruiting tool.
Yeah.
And hey, man, hats off to Coach Duron. He's built Evangel into a national power. They're a national championship program, right? We're not talking about just anybody. That little E on the side of the helmet recruits, regardless if they're ever on TV.
Of course.
And so, I could see both sides. I just think that, I think that the opponent has the right to choose whether or not they want the cameras on, and that's just part of it.
Yeah, totally. I threw you a curveball there. We didn't talk about that pre-show, but I was, why not?
We could go all 30 minutes for that.
And that is the thing with Northwest Louisiana high school football, plenty of those topics. But I did want to talk about some of the public side as well. I was impressed personally with Ben Taylor again in Airline at Barb. Man, it seemed like Barb just had an answer for everything. It's, Airline jumps ahead early. Barb ties it at the half. They jump ahead in the third. Barb comes back. Again, kind of like we talked about with Calvary, a great test for a team that has hopes that stretch beyond a district title.
Well, they did it on the road.
Right.
Look, Ben Taylor is going to put up numbers every week, right? I think that people are so used to hearing the same 3-4 quarterback names every week that it doesn't really, register what.
Yeah, we're spoiled right now.
We are spoiled, and what he's doing every Friday night. It's very impressive. I mean, I think I didn't see the numbers, like the final numbers, but I think he had like 400 plus, almost 500 yards, 5 TDs. Who knows if they had any called back? You just never know. So, video game numbers. It's not surprising. You need to, you come to expect it, and they're doing it at home, on the road, regardless of opponent. And I think that, Ben is just really kind of locked in as, hey, man, I'm going to have my team in it every week. Yep. And he does a really good job of distributing. He's not just throwing it to one guy. He's distributing the ball to all of his athletes, and then he can do it off schedule, off platform with his legs. So, if you haven't seen a Ben Taylor game, if you haven't gone and watched Airline play, do yourself a favor and go watch them. If you haven't seen Abram Wardell, go watch Calvary. If you haven't seen North DeSoto, Delafield's slinging it vertical down the field. Like, go watch North DeSoto. There's just a lot of quality, high caliber QBs in this area that. If you have a young kid that wants to be a quarterback, this is the time you want to take them to go watch these guys, because they're really good.
And we don't. It's become common for us in the past few years because Taylor and Delafield have been doing it. Wardell's been doing it. I've been doing this high school football show for a long time, and we do not see these kind of incredible performances week in and week out from so many different guys. I mean, it really is something special that
we're just talking about the quarterbacks. We're not talking about the receivers they're throwing to.
Right.
You don't log 400, 500 yards, 7 touchdowns without you throwing to some guys. Right? And so there's just a lot of quality talent in our area that – if you don't have something to do on a Friday night, man, go get you a ticket and pull up one of these, stadiums and watch these guys. Because a long time ago, it was you went and watched Brandon Harris, or you went and watched Josh Booty or Phillip
Dak.
Dees, or you went and saw Dak and Brandon against each other in Parkway versus Halton, 10,000 people, nowhere to sit. Those days that didn't happen as frequently as you have now, where you're looking out there and. Benton's got a D1 guy. Evangel's got a D1 guy. Airline's got a D1 guy. Calvary's got a D1 guy. Multiple. Yep. They've got a D1 running back. Okay, and then you got Delafield that's a D1 dude. There's just talent everywhere, and it's impressive. It says a lot about how well they've been coached, how hard they work, and then the talent around them. So. It's fun. Yeah,
and I wanted to talk about North DeSoto a little bit too. It was funny. So we had one of our top plays this week was Cole Corey laying out. I mean, completely vertical fingertip catch as he goes to the ground, sent in by a viewer. And I was laughing at myself because I just didn't check the name of the email that sent it. And I went on and we showed it. And in the show, I'm saying, a fan sent this in, Yeah, it was Cole Corey's parents that sent it. So it was a fan for sure.
They're proud.
Their biggest fan, but I saw him on Facebook saying that. So appreciate that. We love when the fans send that stuff in. And it is something that I think a lot of people don't realize is that our photographers are going to multiple games in a night. So the chances are you're going to miss something, right? How many people in those stadiums got that phone out?
Yep.
They're even turning it horizontally. They figured out how to do it. send them our way. You can email them to me, whatever, because we'll show them. I mean, we want to showcase the best that we got, and that's one of them. And North DeSoto over Union Parish, another close game, another game you get into that fourth quarter. The Griffins are just looking good.
They are. They're poised to make another deep run, and I said it last week. I know that they want to punch their ticket again and finish what they have set before them, that goal of winning a state championship. And so, and they're doing it against quality talent. They're not running from anybody. They've got the signal caller, they've got Cole Core, they've got talent all over the place. It's just going to be one of those things that, can they stay healthy? Yes, they can. Do they have the depth? Yes, they do. Now they just got to check all those boxes and play out week after week. But they're going to be there at the end. They're legit.
Yeah, for sure. No surprises there really with that team and those leaders they have there. A few more things I wanted to bring up in regards to last week. Maybe we got a little overzealous about Huntington, and I still think they're going to be okay. But
I think it's West Monroe.
Yeah,
it's on the road. Like, there's a reason why West Monroe doesn't travel week 1.
Right.
They play at home, and they pay you to come play in front of their crowd. The intimidation factor. They have a certain entrance that they go through, and it's a unique high school experience, and it doesn't matter who you are. Those lights turn on, and here come the rebels from the west. They come walking out. It's intimidating. It's kind of scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So I could see how that could freak some guys out. I haven't seen the film. I have no idea what happened. I saw the score, and it could have been a little bit of the fact that they got behind early, and then it just guys just kind of tapped out. You just never know. Injuries could have been. Turnovers, who knows? But at the end of the day, it does not change the fact Huntington is extremely talented, extremely talented. I would expect anybody from this area to travel over there and struggle week 1.
For sure.
Plus, that's a new staff in place. They're trying to really put their stamp on the program.
New offense,
They're going to do everything they can, including if they've got to keep scoring late with a game in hand. They're going to do it because they want everybody to. It was not good after Evangel went in there and beat them in the Jamboree.
Right.
That was not good.
Of course.
Bad press for the West Monroe staff. They don't lose Jamborees, and they definitely don't want to lose to Evangel. So I fully expected they were going to be ready to go. I haven't seen it. I don't know, but I do think, regardless of what happens week 1, Huntington's going to be in the mix there in 1-5A.
Well, you know what? They have a golden opportunity right away against their former offensive coordinator, Jeremy Wilburn, and Captain Shreve. I was at that Captain Shreve game for the first half against Ouachita Parish last week. And, it seemed like the Gators, it was your typical first game with a new coach type of deal. A little slow to start. They started to ramp it up there. They were kind of getting some trick plays in there, little double pass that they hit for a big gain. In particular, there was one play that really stuck out to me in that game is where Ouachita had some momentum. They just had a score. It was a 4th and long. They like to go for it, Shreve. And Brody Savage hits his tight end, a perfect throw right across the middle of the field. Big tight end. I can't remember his name. He goes up, gets it, move the chains. They score on the next play. It was a close game. They hold on late. I think Shreve is certainly still a factor in this league from what I saw. They looked good on both sides of the ball. This matchup now with Huntington, what a test for both teams. This will be a great measuring stick as to where we are in 1-5A early on.
Oh, there's no doubt. And you're playing the defending champs in that 1-5A district. So, I know Coach Wilburn's going to want to put the best product on the field. He definitely doesn't want to lose to his old team. No coach does.
Of course.
So I think that's going to tell us a lot about where the district sits. And there's some other matchups this week in 1-5A that are going to kind of give you an idea of where people are at. But the main thing is, can Huntington settle in the ball game, establish the line of scrimmage, let Coach Dennis's defense do what they do, bring pressure, change looks, make things difficult for you, and can they run the football? If they can do those two things, they're going to be in every game and have a chance to win every single game on the schedule for the rest of the year.
Another matchup that's going to be fun in this district, and it's crazy that we're starting district play in week 2, but there's so many teams, this is what they have to do. But, Benton and Airline, week 2, that's a rivalry game. It's a game where we get to see an established guy like Ben Taylor going against Malachi over at Benton. Not this season opener that the Tigers wanted, of course, but just like Huntington, what a chance to change the narrative immediately.
So when I coached for Reynolds in 2020, I want you to know, Airline and Benton hate each other. Away from the fields of play, they're fine. It's great.
Right.
But when they get between the white lines, there is no love between the two teams.
Yep.
I thought it was like that with us in Halton. I thought it was like that. When we played Airline a little bit, nothing compared to that intensity. And you get Reynolds teed up on the sidelines, and he's working the officials. And I know that last week was one of those games where Northwood had been close every year they play, and it was just a matter of time before.
And Northwood, that's kind of what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just they're in every game they play.
Well, they're well coached and they're really good on defense, and they don't make the big mistakes, right? So, and then they ball controlled Benton in the second half. Benton's a tempo team, and Benton got really, it didn't seem like they could make that stop there late in the ball game. And it was close. It could go either way. This week, it doesn't matter what the records are.
Right.
It doesn't matter. These two teams are going to get after it, and I can promise you, Airline's going to try to hang 100 on them, and Benton is going to try to do the same thing. So I will have my wife texting me updates of that score, and I'll go ahead and say it. Hail Benton.
There we go
for the Tigers. So
all right. Well, I'm not gonna. I'm pulling for both teams. I want to see a great
I'm
game.
pulling for Ben to have a great game, another huge stat line. But when it comes down to it, I've worn the purple and gold.
Yeah.
And I know how much Reynolds wants that game, and Terrence Smith, the OC, and those kids. So, I think Airline has the upper hand. I really do. They're really good.
Yeah. Now I know we talked about this team a little last week, and we saw them against Carroll. Talking about Parkway now. Man, I just think the Panthers are good.
They are good.
Yeah, there's something about this team, man. Every time I've seen them so far, the 2 times I've seen them this year, I've just been impressed.
Absolutely, and they've got athletes. The way that they're playing this year, they're taking their best guys and they're putting them on both sides of the ball. Right. They can do it situationally. They can play it for the whole game, whatever they need to do. Carroll was not a team that matched up with them.
Yeah.
Size-wise and athleticism, they did, but scheme, coaching, it's a little bit different. And Parkway's got a lot of guys that have been playing. They played a lot of football. So I think that with Woodlawn's going to be athletic. They're going to be physical. They've got some weapons. They got speed. Woodlawn always plays Parkway well. Yeah. Last time I was there, I think it was 2020. Woodlawn had them. I think it was Parkway's homecoming, and I think Woodlawn had the lead at halftime. Mm-hmm. So. Those kids weren't playing at that time, but Woodlawn's not afraid of anybody, and they are going to be super athletic. They've got guys that have been starting the last 2 to 3 years. So,
right.
I think it'll be a good test for Parkway. But if they get the opportunity to put them away, they're going to try to put them away.
Now, I did want to mention we're kind of jumping all over the place, but North DeSoto, big game for the Griffins this week. They go to Center, Texas, a matchup with the Rough Riders there, and. This is a game I think they played last year. It was very tight. It is our game of the week this week. And those Louisiana-Texas matchups, you don't get to do them often.
No.
I mean, so much pride goes into that.
Yeah. In North DeSoto wants to make a statement,
right?
And they want to do it on the other side of the border. So, I think that the way that they play football, it causes problems for teams with their tempo, going super fast and having the wide splits and being able to put different personnel groups on the field. But it is Texas football,
right?
And those guys are paid. The head coach and his staff, they're paid to coach football. That's what they do. And so they've watched plenty of tape. They've probably been preparing since last year for it. The crazy thing about Texas football is they have the ability to work year round on their craft, just like we do here. But some of them don't have the same responsibilities and stuff like that at these bigger schools where they have to be in the classroom teaching all day long. And so I'm not saying that that's what Center has. I'm just saying that I've seen that. I've got some buddies that are over there. So
it's a rare opportunity for a team like North DeSoto that has such nice facilities to maybe go somewhere that has a little nicer facilities over in Texas. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the stuff they're working with.
I think North DeSoto goes over there and just lights it up, though.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, we kind of think that too, Daniel and I, but we figured that Louisiana-Texas matchup was just too good, and we were so unsure about Westgate and that, to commit to that game with Calvary, so that's why we went with the Griffins, and it's a good way to ensure that we can get that game too, because it's a little further away from us, so we are excited about that. So we're talking about nice facilities, and look, this is this is a podcast. We can give our opinions and
Sure.
and share some things. You guys are playing Glenbrook this week over at Bossier. I was at a Glenbrook's game last week. They played the Magnolia School of Excellence, and they're actually playing on the campus of Magnolia. We got to get some work done on that field, Coach.
I've seen the game film.
It's brutal.
First of all, I think it's great that Magnolia's got
Right.
football
Yeah, of
and
course.
they're playing on site.
Yeah.
Football's expensive.
Yeah.
To keep up a natural grass field is expensive. When you put the turf down, you're paying for it up front,
Exactly.
right? And then it takes care of itself. So cutting a grass field, making sure that you've got sand to go in for all your potholes and all that kind of stuff, and then lining it and then cutting it and lining it and cutting it and lining it. If you don't have a practice field and then you got to play on it, it's a lot of wear and tear. And
Yeah.
so those guys could be taking care of it, doing a great job with it, and if you're using it every day to prepare for games, it's going to be beat up, and we're not even into the middle of the season yet or the bad weather yet, which we always get. I remember Parkway, in 2018, we hosted week 3, we had Pulaski, and it rained all week, and it rained all day, and that field was destroyed after one game, and we didn't practice there, we just played there. It was destroyed during warm-ups, and so that's one of the bad things about natural grass. I like playing on grass field. I know our guys did. We played at Glenbrook last night for a JV game, and their field was pristine, perfect crown, and been cut with a real mower. You could tell Coach Thurman, Coach Smith are taking great care of it. It is different when you're playing on a natural grass field, and then you've got to keep it up. And if you're having to practice on it, I mean, it's just going to get torn up. So. If people knew how much it costs to upkeep a program.
Right, of course. And the field goal posts were maybe less than regulation, we'll put it that way. It was an interesting, I hadn't been out there to cover a game before, so it was interesting. And one funny note, so I noticed that Glenbrook had new helmets, right? Well, they actually have a new jersey set. They just didn't wear them in that game because they didn't want to get them all dirty on that field. So I thought that was...
Hey, their stuff looked good when they took the field last night. So.
Yeah, I bet it did. We're excited for that, and I know you're excited to go against Reagan, and so a little reunion, a little Friday film session reunion right there.
It's going to be fun.
It's good stuff. I'm looking through all the other games. I mean, again, we could talk for hours, but we are inching to that 30 minutes. So this is a high school football show, of course. But when it comes to you and I, our allegiances are quite different. We've got Parkway, we've got Houghton. We have the Saints, we have the Cowboys. I'm not betting. I'm not making any more bets on Parkway Houghton. I got more Parkway hats than I know what to do with it. But we were talking before the show about maybe a little fun Saints Cowboys wager, since they do play this Sunday. So we're talking about one of us will wear the other team's jersey on the episode next week. Do you have a Dak jersey?
I'm sure. I know that we have a CD jersey.
See, because I could live easier in a Dak jersey.
I get it, but I think that if you lose, you need to wear, that beautiful cowboy white and blue.
Okay,
so.
well, yeah, well,
let's shake on it.
Let's do it right here. There you go. And for our listeners, we did shake hands. It's a real bet. And I guess we could talk a little bit about that game, because why not? We're talking football. Man, the Saints looked a lot better, and I'm taking off the homer cap now, and with Clint Kubiak calling the offense, they're running the ball. Some pistol formation. You had Taysom Hill to the right of Derek Carr, Kamara behind him. To me, my amateur football knowledge, I'm thinking, why in the heck have they not been doing this for so long?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, the Cowboys kind of look like business as usual, what we've seen early season for them. It's such an interesting matchup. I think the Cowboys have been so much better than the Saints the past few years. I'm not sure if that's the case this year.
Yeah, I mean, it would be easy to say that Dallas is just way better, but you have a new coaching staff in place. You have a new offensive scheme. Kubiak is West Coast guy. He was on San Francisco staff. He knows how to coach ball. Kubiak is a name that it carries a lot of weight at coaching circles in the NFL, and so I knew that he was going to bring a unique brand of offensive football. In the West Coast is so multiple. There's so many different things you can do. So many different personnel groups. And then if you've noticed what Shanahan and his guys do, they do a great job of creating conflict for defenses with their backs. CMC with the 49ers and Debo, they've been used in different ways. And you see that week in and week out. And then they do a great job of packaging their best plays in different ways every week with shifts, motions, that kind of stuff. So The Saints are going to do the same thing,
right?
And that's what's fun about football. That's what's unique about just the offensive side of the ball. So Kubiak comes in, he uses his Swiss Army knife, and Taysom Hill, who's one of the best all-around football players. He can play pretty much anywhere. I mean, if he wanted to put on another 50 pounds, he could be a tackle.
Oh yeah,
he's legit. You could put him at linebacker. He's legit. And then Kamara, 100%. When he is healthy, he's dynamic. They've got pieces. They got weapons, and they've done a really good job building through the draft. So I'm not surprised at all by what the Saints have done. Now, they did do it against Carolina.
Exactly. And that is the key.
And the Cowboys beat Cleveland.
Now,
and
but
Cleveland's been
defense.
Good. Listen, they're good on defense, but what I saw from Cleveland on offense was
poor,
abysmal.
Yeah.
All right. And any self-respecting coach is going to say, that wasn't a difference of matchups or personnel. Like, that was a lack of execution. Like, they just didn't look in sync. They did nothing right offensively. If you were to hear what they were saying just out of the circles, with the Cleveland coaches, I'm sure they were not happy with that product. But Dak looked like he just signed a big-time contract, right? He looked like the man. Yeah. And, they did a good job of spreading the ball around, and Dallas played really good on defense. The Overshown guy, one of the linebackers, outrunning Micah Parsons, and making a play on the sidelines is scary if you think about it. I know that was on a lot of the talk shows the next day. But Dallas, I'm a Cowboy fan. I was born and raised in a Dallas household. I love the Green Bay Packers too. I will tell you, Jerry will find a way to mess this up. All right, and I've already
there it is.
I've already just resigned in my heart that that's what's going to happen at some point this year, because we didn't do anything in free agency. Now I see why we're signing these guys to big time contracts.
Right.
But we have a question mark in the run game. We have a question mark at left tackle. We have a question mark, really up front defensively. And we just keep signing free agents, and it's like a plug and play type deal. Dak can do that for so long. Right. Until the wear and tear of getting hit a lot takes its toll. And so I don't know if you noticed, but we didn't block Myles Garrett at all.
Right. Yes, I did notice.
We didn't block him.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't get any easier this week.
Right.
Now you have two edge rushers.
Yeah, Cam Jordan and Chase Young.
Yeah. So I think it's harder this week.
Right.
But Dallas being at home, they play better at home.
Yes.
Except when Green Bay comes in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, well,
it is what it is. But it's going to be fun.
Second round, technically.
I hope it's second round technically. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope that it's a good game. We've got a lot of my brother's a big Saints fan,
right.
So there's just a lot of the chirping back and forth between. It's right here where it's kind of this is the line drawn in the sand. And
it's so unique too, because if you were to poll people in New Orleans and Dallas, they would not list each other on a rivalry list for either of those teams.
No, it's really for us.
It's just so unique to us in Shreveport because we are really split right down the middle. I think it was more Cowboys, and then the Saints won that Super Bowl, and I think we've seen a pretty healthy split from then on out. So it's a ton of fun. I know my dad and I will be jerseys on in front of that TV Sunday getting fired up.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll be looking forward to it. Would you want to go Breeze or Kamara?
You could choose.
I got Jeremy Shockey we could pull out. I mean,
we have some Saints jerseys at the house. We have some Saints jerseys. I know we have a Reggie Bush jersey. So
I have one of those too. I might have you beat on unique Saints jerseys. Sammy Knight.
Yeah, I don't have that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That's an old school
football
player right there. It was my dad's jersey, but I took it. I also have a Ricky Williams jersey as well.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah. We don't wear that one too often. We keep that one up in the closet. Well, Coach, you got anything else high school wise, or just a parting message to our viewers? Maybe some things they should look out for this week.
Man, it's just going to be a lot of good football this week, and I think that the games that you're seeing on the schedule, if you get an opportunity, go pull up at one of these stadiums and watch these local kids play. There's a lot of really good talent right here in our area, and you don't want to miss it because you're going to see them on Saturdays.
Right.
And you're going to see some of these guys on Sunday, and they're right here in your backyard. So buy a ticket, go support high school football.
And, I mean, how can we say that you're wrong when a Houghton, Louisiana native is the highest paid player in NFL history?
Say it again.
The Houghton, Louisiana native is the most well-played player in the history of the NFL. It is
well worth it.
Yeah, I agree. And Man, I honestly, if I had to place a bet at the beginning of the year, I did not think that this would
I didn't
get
either.
done. But
I didn't either. Eli texted me during church. Did you see how much Dak just signed for? It's like, no. And I looked at it like, my goodness.
yeah,
I mean, hey, he listen, you can say what you want. He's the quarterback of the most, I would say the most popular
easy,
global brand in the
sure.
NFL. And he is the starting quarterback, and he's been consistent. Only one team wins a Super Bowl every year.
That's
only
it.
one.
The
And
Chiefs.
so it's the Chiefs. You know, before that it was Brady.
Right.
And so hopefully, Dak, people will respect his game because he's consistent year in and year out. And he had a great season last year where he could have been the NFL MVP.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of got shafted there just because the media had hyped Lamar for so
Right.
long, kind of just already crowned him. And Dak just was steady all the way through the season and even hit this stride there late. So it's some big road games to win. He had to win for them to have
Right.
their seeding. So I look forward to this game this week and the texting back and forth,
Yes.
trash talk, and somebody is the loser next week in this podcast. I can't wait.
Yeah, I need to stop making bets. My hit rate on these bets has been terrible.
I think this is your best shot.
Yeah.
Parkway Halton, you had the upper hand
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And Coy even said it, he beat his brother so bad he made him retire. And I don't know if Jason really, I know that some brotherly love there, but
Right.
Parkway's had the upper hand in that matchup for a while. That's not a great bet. This year, this is a good bet.
Well, that's what I say every time the Saints and Cowboys play. I say, I wish Dak Prescott nothing but success in all but one game.
One game.
And honestly, I would love to see him have the game of his life and still lose, and that would be an ideal situation for me. But kind of hard to make that happen. So, Coach, it's week 2 in Louisiana. Another exciting week of high school football. Looking forward to talking to you again next week, man.
Absolutely. Go Cowboys.
Who dat? Thanks for listening to the 3 Fever Point After podcast.